I thought this was interesting. Former AI clinic AI compliance lead is suing the hospital for firing her after she blew the whistle on its AI tools. Lawsuit alleges Mayo's digital assistant, Maya, had a 67% error rate that staff tried to hide by deleting results and mischaracterizing outcomes. This is the Mayo Clinic, by the way. A high-risk cardiac surgery device was allegedly approved without requiring review board oversight. When she flagged these issues, she was told fixing them would compromise Mayo's competitive advantage, then demoted and fired during medical leave. A 67% error rate on a medical AI tool is bad enough. The allegation that staff knew and deleted the results to hide it is worse. Mayo is one of the most respected hospital systems in the world. If this is how they handled AI integration, with review boards bypassed and unfavorable data deleted because the priority was speed, smaller hospital networks with fewer resources are almost certainly doing no better. Okay, that's a nice, fun AI story from the Mayo Clinic. This is a good one. Ford rehires hundreds of human engineers after AI fails to meet expectations. One of the big stories over the last couple months is how much cheaper it is to have humans working for you than the AI. This is all tied to the AI is costing companies a lot of money.
In recent years, Ford has sacked hundreds of its engineers to make room for AI, which it believed would be able to do those folks' jobs for less money. Guess what? It didn't turn out that way. And what's Ford doing now? They're rehiring many of the same workers that they showed the door to so they could come back and do the jobs that AI couldn't do. Now, many of those jobs in question involve
Same story with a
quality
lot
control.
of
That is making sure Ford is getting the results it desires on the factory floor. And it turns out AI lacked the capability to make such judgments. Why? Because it has no gut instincts. And it turns out that when it comes to quality control, being able to eyeball the parts or eyeball the process and make some gut instinct as to how this is going to affect quality overall, that's a distinctly human skill, at least at this point. So now Ford is bringing people back to be able to handle that. And guess what? Quality has gone back up in the factories. But I'm sorry to say, part of the job of these rehired humans is to train AI to be better at the jobs it was supposed to be better at. Not good for the humans.
Ouch, training your replacement.
Bingo.
So we've heard that before. People are saying it about the appraisal industry, that we are training our potential replacements. I guess that's always been the case. Now with the new U80 3.6 and some of all that, the data gathering capabilities and how good it's getting. Yeah, very well could be. But what are you going to do? Quit? Okay, quit. Move on to something else. Find an industry that AI is not touching. I know the trades could be one of them, but even then AI is being used there. But obviously, to put in a furnace, there's no robots putting them in yet. There's no robots doing plumbing yet. So yes, the trades could be one of them. My partner, Jolene, and many of you know, she's a wonderful stylist and salon owner. Nobody's going to have robots cutting their hair anytime soon. AI isn't taking over their business, but she is using AI with her website, her marketing, her content, her salon promotions, all that stuff. We use AI for all that stuff, which we did manually for many, many years. So AI is being integrated, but in those industries, you see it. The industry runs on being human, on the human doing the human stuff. Ford, here's another story on Ford.
So coming from the Tech Buzz, which is basically just a ripoff for The Verge, Ford rehires former engineers to fix AI assembly mistakes. Automaker admits automation failures led to quality issues, bringing back veterans. So I think we're going to see more of this with the whole AI fraud as the AI fraud unravels, where basically, right, the king normies, the executives in organizations have been sold a bill of goods by the AI industry, right? There, Sam Altman comes out, Dario comes out, and they're like, look, if AI can cure disease and AI can solve science, obviously AI can do the work of your employees. And then you have the king normies up on high controlling their organizations. And they're like, well, that just makes complete sense. And so then they start firing people because their idea is we're going to buy this product. This product is going to replace what these employees do. So we might as well just start firing them now. The problem that you run into is that AI is not solving science. It is not curing disease. And the idea that it can do everything in your organization is just absolutely and utterly ridiculous, right? I come here. My point when I do these videos is to talk for the system. The system needs a voice. I try to talk for the system and I try to talk to decision makers and organizations. And an important thing you have to be thinking about with artificial intelligence or any technology, AI is simply a form of technology. Any technology you're going to deploy, especially if you're planning on firing people, is you need to test it. You need to deploy it into a production environment. You need to audit the results and verify that what you're getting is what you actually need to get.
Okay. Why am I sharing all this AI stuff with you? Not to be doom and gloom. Again, I'm an AI realist. I am not anti-AI. We use it all the time, every day. Well, we understand what it's good for and what it's not good for. One of the reasons I share this with all of you is to make you feel better that the end of your career is not just right around the corner, at least not because of AI. It could be because of something else. It could be some unforeseen thing. If I was doing a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, there could be some other threat out there. One of the threats could be the new UAD 3.6 form that's not a form. It could be Fannie and Freddie. It could be something, but I don't think so. I think all of this is stacking up to prove to you that your job as an appraiser is fairly safe for the near term and probably longer term, depending on how you define longer term. AI, especially when it comes to numbers, Understand AI is a big autocomplete. I know that's way oversimplifying, but AI is only as good as its training data. And I know it's trained on a lot of data, but essentially it is just guessing. So those of you who talk about AGI, artificial general intelligence and super intelligence, it's not even close. I had a long discussion a couple months ago with somebody we all love and respect about AGI, and this person thought, no, we are there now. We have artificial general intelligence. No, we don't, because when you understand the definition of intelligence, at least on a human scale, we aren't even close, because the AI, it doesn't have a brain. It's simply really, really good algorithmically at guessing the words before and the words after and doing it in microseconds. That's why it sounds and feels quite often like it knows what it's doing. If any of you have ever seen Husk IRL on Instagram, I'll see if I can find one on YouTube. He's just a content creator who, joking, he does these little comedy things where he talks to AI, and it's always ChatGPT. And he just shows how stupid it is and how it's, for example, can't count to 100. I'll find that for you and show you. But you have to at least understand what it is. And if you believe it's amazing and it can do everything, you are going to be blinded when it makes mistakes and it can't do stuff, or you'll be willing to brush those things off. It's like if your partner cheated on you every other weekend, but you were so blinded and so in love that you thought, well, no, they didn't really mean to. Then eventually you end up being the one hurt. So you have to at least come into all of this with open eyes and not rose-colored glasses, and understand what it's good at, what it's not good at, what it's good for, and what it's not good for. Now, I mentioned earlier 10-80-10. 10-80-10 is the, let's call it the philosophical pillars of how you should look at AI. 10-80-10. 10-80-10 is like an airline pilot. They say the technology in a 747 is such that they only need the pilots for takeoff and for landing, because 80% of what the technology can do in an airplane, I could be wrong, I'm not a pilot, the plane essentially flies itself, the technology. And so it is with AI, that the 10% is giving it context, giving it rules, giving it roles, giving it guardrails and guidelines, and telling it what you need it to do. Then letting the AI do the 80%. And then the 10% is adding the human component at the end and implementing and changing. I said in the podcast that I recorded today, will go out probably tomorrow or the next day, that some of you send me emails that I can tell clearly are AI emails. And I have no problem with it, but I just know, because I know you, that it's not your language. And some of you still leave little stupid little M dashes in that I can't believe AI still hasn't figured out how to get rid of. Nobody talks with M dashes. You put commas there. But some of you will send AI emails, and I get it. We're all busy, and I use Whisper Flow, and I use some AI technologies, but it's always in my voice. And I always do the first and the last 10%. I let AI write, and then I go through and I go, nah, I wouldn't say that. I want to say it this way, and I change it all. And you should too. So 10-80-10, that's the way you should be utilizing AI. Okay.